Creative friends, it's Gwen and I am back today with another scrapbooking process video. Today's share is a very special share because it is part of Danni V's 4K Hooray. So Danni and I are actually on the Cocoa Vanilla Studios design team together. She's an amazing creative and she has 4,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. So we are all helping her celebrate and I'm playing along. I'll leave all of the links to a bunch of creatives who are all joining her in the description box below. So lots to see there. So be sure to check that out once you've finished watching my video. So here's my plan for the page today. I'm working with Cocoa Vanilla Studios Daydream Collection and I've also got a cut file here from Cut to You called Lots of Leaves. Now for the hop, we've all been challenged to either work with a grid of elements that Danni likes to use on her pages, and there was maybe 9 items on that grid, or to do a scrap lift of a page that you liked of hers. And I've kind of ended up doing both. There was a layout, I'll put it in a little image up here. There was a layout that she created for Cocoa Vanilla that I adored and I was really keen to scrap lift it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I guess because I'm scrap lifting her, essentially, I've included 4 of the things that were on that grid. So I'm going to be using pattern paper as my background, a cut file, stitching, and tiny word stickers. And all of those things I actually use on most of my pages as well. So yeah, I really like Danni's style. It's sort of similar to mine in some ways. She's a lovely creative and I'm so excited to be able to scrap lift her page. Okay, so for her page, there were a couple of elements that really stood out to me. Firstly, she had used the most beautiful butter yellow background pattern paper. I love using pattern papers in my background, so it was not hard at all for me to replicate that. So I grabbed that out of the Daydream collection first up. Then she had 2 photos. Now, her photos are smaller than mine, but I had these 2 of Caitlin, and I also had this cut file, which just so happened actually to be a very similar design to her page, with the photos being a portrait and them being slightly off center of each other, running up and down the page. Her layout has them around the other way, so the photo at the top of the page is more to the left and the bottom photo is more to the right, but I didn't think that mattered. I thought this was close enough. So I have just actually placed my cut file, cut it out nice and large on white cardstock, I must add, and then just positioned it centered on my page, and then popped my 2 photos in the 2 photo spots that are part of that cut file. So that actually takes care of 2 out of the 4 items from the grid straight away. I also really like, as you would know if you've seen on my channel before, I like to add a border frame around all of my layouts. So I've gone ahead and done that and used a really pretty blue floral from the collection. That one's called Daisy Days. And I did also use that same pattern paper to mount my photos. I've then added my stitching to my photos and my border. So that is actually the 3rd item out of the 4. So the only thing that's left is tiny word stickers, and I will get to those quite towards the end of the video because they are a small element. What I'm going to be focusing on now is my title. So I'm going to use one of them from the pack here, and I did decide on Happy You. I've also started my floral clusters, so I'm working with the largest elements first and then I will move on to the smallest elements last. So I am going to go with Happy You, and it is going to nestle in on the right there in the end. On her page, I think she had a couple, it was text in a couple of areas, so I did try and play with having the words separated. But just for my page, I felt that it worked really well on, down on that right-hand corner. Yeah, see, I wasn't sure. I was going to do happy days, but then I really liked the way that the U kind of nestled in there amongst the leaves and the floral pieces there. So I was like, both work. So let's go with the way that the design is taking me. I do talk about that a little bit when I was asked how I know what to choose for like embellishments. Where do I put things? How do I know what to choose? And very often it comes back to letting the page decide for me, going naturally with the flow of the creative process and not trying to work against it. And that's a really good example. It didn't matter to me really whether it said happy day or happy you. So I just made the choice that worked best for the page. I hope that makes sense. So that's another really large element that's now locked into position. And so with that all being done, I can now work on medium and smaller embellishments. So I do want to lock in some of the medium-sized floral pieces, which I do go ahead and do. And I'm also having a think about the butterflies. And I decided to actually fussy cut out a few from the pattern paper rather than use the ones from the die cut pack. So the pattern paper is called All A Flutter, and I just found that they were ever so slightly smaller than the ones from the die cut pack. So what I did was just fussy cut those out, and I am going to end up using a few more than Danni did. She only used 3, I believe, on her page, and I ended up with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I ended up with a couple of extras. So I am going to raise them up on foam tape. And I am going to audition them in quite a few places before they find their final homes. And I'm just thinking about, I talk about it quite a lot on my channel, about the way that the eye is going to travel around the page and the edges of the clusters. So it just seemed very natural to me that one would go up in the top left-hand corner. Then there would be 1 or 2 on the right-hand side near the top photo there. And then to balance that out, the eye would travel back down the page to the bottom photo. So I would need something to the left of the bottom photo. And that's kind of where they end up. It just, as always, takes me a little minute. Yeah, see, oh, look, I'm showing you with my hand. Yeah, it takes me a little minute to kind of figure that out. Now, it's at this point that I'm feeling like the layout needs a little bit more texture. I do have layers because I have raised some of the elements on foam tape and I've left some of them flat to the page, but it didn't really have a lot of texture to it. And I did play with a flare button, but couldn't quite get that to work. But what does work beautifully is one of the puffy hearts that come in the collection. So they're really soft and puffy, and they're made out of like I want to say corduroy, but they've also got this really lovely little shimmer to them. They're really, really sweet. And I end up with one towards the right of that top photo there. And now I get to add in the type sentiments. So I go through the accessory sticker sheet that's in the collection, and I found quite a few sweet little elements that say beautiful, sweet, happy day, and smile. And I really just lay them on the page top to bottom, and then kind of like don't line them up too much. So for example, the one at the top of the page is going to be on the right hand side of the photo. Then the one in the center of the page is on the left hand side of the photo. And then there will end up being, there's one at the bottom of the bottom photo on the right. Oh my gosh. So it kind of creates like a zigzag, I want to say. Just again, visual interest, making sure that I'm thinking about how the eye is going to move across the page and going with the flow of that. Things are getting serious. I am gluing things down. I have my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I am going to go around now and lock everything into position that's not already locked down. So anything that I put on foam is good, but there would be a couple of pieces there that just need a tiny little bit of glue squeezed in behind them. I'm also going to be adding a couple of the die cut heart pieces and a couple of really tiny sweet little floral elements. So I'm just really looking to round everything out. This is real final touch sort of elements, and yeah, just finish everything off. I do end up switching out that navy blue heart for a pale blue heart. You'll remember that I switched out the butterflies earlier on in the layout from that navy blue to a light blue. I do the same thing with the heart. I just found that I don't know, it's not heavy, but I just, switched them out for pale blue ones. And one's going to end up on the left and another one down on the right underneath my title there. So it kind of extends that title element down just a little bit further than where you see it now. Speaking of the title, I did quickly want to show you what I do once I know 100% that I am going to use a title on my page. I actually just grab a Sharpie, and on the back of the packaging there with where the list of all the titles is, I actually cross them off. So then I know next time when I'm making a layout what titles I've got left to choose from and what options I have really quickly and easily. I don't have to pull out all of the elements and then choose from there. And that, creative friends, finishes up the layout. So if you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this one. Lots more to come, and I will see you all next time. Bye.